They did what with a microwave and duct tape? The supreme commander of the Zarnak Armada froze mid-hover, his massive head tendrils twitching in confusion. Behind him, a dozen holoscreens projected grainy, jittery footage from Earth's surface, what the humans called a news broadcast, though it looked more like an unhinged puppet show with worse audio. On one screen, a man was being arrested for trying to convert a garden hose into a jetpack. On another, two women were arguing about who invented spaghetti. And front and center, on Galactic Priority Alert Feed number 1, a group of what appeared to be human soldiers had used a microwave, 3 lawn chairs, and duct tape to launch a counterattack against a drone squadron, and won. The commander blinked slowly. That can't be right. Are we sure this isn't satire? No, sir, replied Intelligence Officer Zarblax, his voice trembling. This is standard Earth behavior. Their military improvises. Constantly. It's part of the doctrine? The room went silent. If Zarnak eyes could widen, they would have bugged out of their sockets. See, the Zarnaks prided themselves on order, structure, and their sacred 17-volume war manual written by their finest tactician, Grand Marshal Pathar. Every battle, every scenario, every outcome, predicted and accounted for. Even the appendix had footnotes on proper screaming etiquette during defeat. Humans? They once invaded an enemy base because a guy had a hunch. Let that sink in. A hunch. It wasn't just baffling. It was terrifying. The Zarnak High Council had spent years observing Earth in preparation for conquest. They'd mapped political alliances, intercepted military chatter, even decoded something called Twitter, though it caused half their linguists to retire early with stress-induced mandible shedding. And yet, every time humans engaged in battle, something went wrong. Not wrong for them, wrong for everyone else. Like that time in Sector 5, when Earth's 3rd Space Battalion misread coordinates and landed on the wrong moon, and accidentally discovered a hidden Zarnak weapons depot. Or the incident in the Vargos Belt, when a group of human engineers playing a drinking game somehow built a functional gravity cannon out of vending machine parts and rubber chickens. Commander, Sir Blacks whispered, scrolling through a report titled Top 10 Earth Mistakes That Resulted in Victory. We've analyzed over 4,000 Earth military engagements. There is no pattern, no logic, no repeated strategy. They just make things up, constantly. The commander tilted his head. So, they don't plan? They do, sir, but they forget the plan, or change it, or ignore it, or get distracted by something shiny, and somehow that leads to victory. The room was deathly quiet, broken only by the unsettling sound of someone slurping nutrient paste through a stress straw. It's like they're not bound by cause and effect, muttered one Zarnak advisor. They just do things and the universe adapts around them. At that moment, the hollow screen flashed again. A grainy video of a human soldier, Private Jenkins, laughing as his hover jeep careened off a cliff, bounced off a Zarnak artillery unit, and crash-landed perfectly upright in the middle of enemy lines. Jenkins stood up, gave a thumbs up, and shouted, "Nailed it!" before accidentally knocking out the command node with his helmet. The battle ended in 12 minutes. Earth won. Seer Black's voice cracked. We've run 900 simulations on what humans should do in combat. In all of them, they do the opposite. Always. And it works. The commander sat down slowly. Are we dealing with a quantum probability species? Are they gods of chance? Chaos spirits? Trickster deities in meat suits? No, sir, whispered Zerblax, clutching a datapad like a teddy bear. They're just humans. The commander buried his face in 3 of his hands. They had prepared for plasma resistance, cyber warfare, even psychological attacks. But nothing in their 400-year invasion plan accounted for this. For them, the humans, who beat war with improve, who faced galaxy-spanning dreadnoughts with garden tools, snacks, and bad ideas, and somehow came out on top. They're not playing by the rules, the commander murmured. They don't have rules. Sir Blacks nodded. We've intercepted transmissions. They even say it themselves. Rules are meant to be broken. The commander stood slowly, gazing out the window at the small blue marble known as Earth. A species that laughed in the face of logic, that stumbled through battle like drunken theater kids, that treated life or death moments like one big improv comedy show, and they were winning. Over and over and over again. The commander gulped. What in the stars have we just declared war on? And far below on Earth, someone yelled, "Hey, what happens if I pour soda into the fusion core?" Nobody stopped him. They never did. Nobody knew exactly why the Zarnaks had named their most fortified moon base Taco 7. Some speculated it was a mistranslation. Others thought it was an inside joke among their cartographers. But most likely, it was just one of those little cosmic quirks the universe throws in, like human eyebrows or platypuses. What was certain, however, was this: Taco 7 was not a taco joint. Private Jenkins, on the other hand, had missed that memo entirely. It all started when his shuttle got separated from the main fleet during a very routine interstellar patrol. Routine, that is, by Earth standards, which meant things were already going sideways by the third minute. His navigation system was fried after a spilled energy drink short-circuited the main panel, and his only working instrument was a GPS he duct-taped from a 2003 Toyota Corolla. Desperate, hungry, and convinced by an old Reddit thread that Taco 7 has the best burritos this side of Alpha Centauri, Jenkins made the decision of a lifetime. He landed. To be clear, this wasn't a stealth insertion. His entry path looked like a slow-motion car crash in zero gravity. The shuttle skidded across the moon's surface, took out 2 radar towers, bounced off a tank, and finally came to a gentle stop after colliding with a vending machine labeled Zarnak Nutritional Ration Cubes, now with more paste. Jenkins emerged in full armor, holding half a soggy burrito in one hand and squinting at the signs. Weird name for a Taco Bell. Meanwhile, deep in the moon's control hub, sirens blared in 17 different languages. Intruder alert. Breach in sector Q39. Human. Detected. Commander Grok looked at the monitor in disbelief. He just walked in? "Yes, sir," muttered one of the panicked operators. "He appears to be alone, chewing something, possibly hostile." Grok narrowed his eyes. "Is it a weapon?" "Unclear. It's dripping." Security bots swarmed the facility, cameras locked onto Jenkins as he wandered the halls like a tourist at a mall that was clearly not open. He poked at glowing panels, waved at confused Zarnak guards, and at one point mistook a missile silo for a public restroom. That was the moment everything went to hell. Jenkins, burrito in mouth, stumbled into the main cooling chamber of Taco 7's quantum core. To his credit, there was a sign outside. Unfortunately, it was in Zarnakese and slightly melted. The private looked around at the blinking lights, the humming energy field, the very large, very pulsing reactor core, and muttered, "Okay, definitely not the bathroom." But then, because the universe loves irony, he tripped. He tripped on his own shoelace. And as he fell, arms flailing in the most ungraceful way possible, the half-eaten burrito flew from his hand, arced perfectly through the air, and landed squarely inside the cooling intake shaft. The room went very quiet. Then everything exploded. Not the reactor itself. No, that would have been too simple. Instead, the burrito, containing synthetic jalapenos and at least 2 unidentifiable Earth condiments, interacted with the cooling system in a way that no engineer could have predicted. It triggered a chemical cascade that caused the reactor's temperature regulation AI to think it was under bio-attack. In its panic, the AI triggered every fail-safe protocol simultaneously, including the moon's self-destruct sequence. Jenkins blinked as the lights turned red, and an eerie female voice announced, "Moon core compromised. Please evacuate immediately. Also, what even was that?" Chaos erupted. Zarnak personnel screamed in 6 pitches, drones flew in all directions, commanders fell out of chairs, and Jenkins? He calmly walked back to his shuttle, munching the last bite of his burrito and wondering if there was a vending machine with something sweet. The moon exploded behind him in a fireball that lit up the sky of 3 nearby systems. Zarnak warships scrambled to pick up survivors, many of whom were still shrieking. It was the food. They've weaponized the food. Later, when the Earth Council received the footage, nobody believed it. He took out their biggest moon base. "With lunch?" one general asked. Jenkins shrugged. "I was just looking for a bathroom, sir." "And the reactor core?" Looked suspicious. No one questioned it, because deep down they knew. This was exactly the kind of thing humans would do. And somewhere, across the galaxy, an alien commander sat in silence, replaying the footage over and over, whispering under his breath, "They've started feeding the bombs now." The Zarnak High Command was not taking the news well. The destruction of Taco 7 had sent shockwaves, literal and metaphorical, across the galaxy. Entire departments were now under investigation. Several admirals had spontaneously retired, citing emotional corrosion. And the galactic press was already calling it the Great Burrito Catastrophe. And nobody could explain why it had worked. The footage had gone viral. Not even the Zarnak firewalls could contain it. Every military feed, every social channel, every sentient toaster across 4 quadrants had seen the slow-motion burrito spiral into that reactor shaft, like some kind of greasy, tortilla-wrapped guided missile. How did a lone human take out a Level 9 fortress moon? Asked General Riz for the 17th time that hour, slamming his claws on the war table. He didn't mean to, squeaked a junior analyst, trembling beneath his oversized helmet. He literally tripped. It was a food accident. There was silence. Then an admiral stood up, eyes wide, voice low and trembling. That's what makes it worse. In the corner, a strategist named Nalix was losing what was left of his mind. He had been awake for 72 hours straight, surrounded by coffee cups, conspiracy charts, and sticky notes that read things like weaponized chaos and is YOLO a tactical doctrine? Nalix was one of the best. He'd predicted the siege of Tharnax, simulated the collapse of the Grellan Uprising, and even once guessed the correct winner of Earth's Bake-Off show 4 seasons in a row. But this was lunacy. Nothing about their warfare makes sense, he muttered, eyes darting across the footage. They laugh during fights. They play music. Sometimes they even dance. One of their captains went into a dogfight blasting something called Eye of the Tiger and yelled, "Let's see what this baby can do," before accidentally discovering an evasive maneuver that's now banned under intergalactic rules. Another screen flickered on. Footage from a recent skirmish. A human unit had taken cover behind a supply crate that, unknown to them, contained live explosives. One of them, believing it to be a portable grill, tried to heat up a sandwich using a plasma torch. The resulting explosion disabled 3 enemy tanks, scattered the Zarnak infantry, and gave Earth a victory they still think was part of the plan. It wasn't. Not even a little. They're not just unpredictable, whispered Nalix, drawing a shaky circle around the footage. They're anti-predictable. You make a plan around what you think they'll do, and they deliberately do the dumbest possible alternative and win anyway. General Riz scoffed. So what? They're just lucky? No, Nalix said, almost reverently. They've evolved beyond logic, beyond coordination. They don't work together, but somehow they always crash forward at the same time. It's not order, it's not discipline, it's... He paused, swallowing. It's jazz. Silence again, a long, uncomfortable silence. You're saying, one admiral said slowly, that the humans are improvising war? Nalix nodded. Exactly. They treat combat like improv comedy, yes, and with explosives. The council chamber erupted into terrified murmurs. One of the elder generals turned pale. Well, as pale as a 9-foot-tall insectoid can turn, and whispered, "They've abandoned the script." Someone gasped. Another screamed. One just wept. Because now they understood. Humans weren't random. No, they were deliberately chaotic. They embraced uncertainty. Where the Zarnak required precision, humans thrived in the mess. They had declared war on a species that could win battles by throwing spaghetti at the wall. Literally, and seeing what stuck. And sometimes what stuck exploded. There was a deep, shuddering inhale from Commander Vrax, who had been silently watching all along. They've been pretending to be idiots this whole time, he murmured. A nervous chuckle rippled through the room. Then he stood up, voice rising, mandibles clicking with dread. They're not fools. They're geniuses, disguised as fools, tactical jesters, chaotic masterminds, and we mocked them. No one dared speak. He pointed at the footage of Jenkins, orbiting peacefully in the wreckage of Taco 7, sipping a juice pouch, still wearing one sock. We made fun of that. And just like that, the weight of their mistake settled over them like an extinction-level asteroid. Because now they knew. Humans weren't lucky. They were just ridiculously, stupidly, horrifyingly effective. And worst of all, they didn't even know it. The Zarnak Armada didn't retreat in silence. Oh no, they fled, in a frenzy, in what could only be described as the intergalactic equivalent of a screaming toddler running from a birthday clown. It wasn't a tactical withdrawal. It wasn't a strategic repositioning. It was pure, unfiltered, cosmic panic. Commanders barked half-finished orders while already halfway out the door. Ships collided as they scrambled to leave orbit. At least 3 admirals resigned mid-flight and launched themselves into escape pods just to be extra safe. One dreadnought even reversed into a moon, backwards, at full speed. Because by now, every single member of the Zarnak military understood the truth they had desperately tried to avoid. Humans weren't playing the same game. In fact, humans had no idea there even was a game. And that made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. News spread fast. Armadas began to pull back from human borders. Embassies on Earth were shut down overnight. Treaties were rewritten. Entire AI civilizations reran their predictive war models and crashed from confusion. One Zarnak war college simply closed its doors and reopened as a bakery. The headmaster said, "At least bread follows the recipe." Meanwhile, on Earth, Private Jenkins was receiving a medal. He didn't know why. He was still a little confused about the whole moon incident. And to be honest, he mostly remembered needing a bathroom and ending up in space again. He thought the explosion was just a really aggressive flush. They gave him a plaque anyway. His speech at the ceremony was 8 seconds long. "Thanks. I like burritos." The audience went wild. Someone launched fireworks. An entire alien spy team watching the event misinterpreted the celebration as a declaration of war. They retreated immediately. Back on the Zarnak homeworld, Supreme Commander Vrax sat in a dark room, rewatching Earth videos in stunned silence. One showed a human toddler trying to ride a dog while yelling, "To battle!" Another featured a man throwing Mentos into a soda bottle and calling it science. And the last, oh stars, the last was a group of humans, deliberately shocking themselves with a fence for fun. He turned off the screen. He stared at the floor. Then he whispered what the entire Galactic War Council was thinking. "We cannot fight this." Because how do you fight an enemy that doesn't even realize they're in a war? How do you prepare for a species that treats explosions as punchlines and thinks Plan B means just wing it with duct tape? You don't. You run. And so a transmission was sent to Earth. Short, formal, terrified. We, the Zarnak Empire, formally recognize the sovereignty of Earth and its, uniquely effective defense systems. We wish no further contact. Please do not retaliate. Also, we apologize for any inconvenience. It ended with a clip art peace dove and what looked like a coupon for free smoothies. Earth never responded, mostly because nobody found the message. It had landed in the spam folder of a junior communications officer who was too busy making memes. To this day, the Zarnaks speak of humans only in hushed tones. They refer to Earth as the Improvisation Planet, or Sector What the Heck. New recruits are shown the Taco 7 footage during orientation, followed by a mandatory therapy session and a comforting plush burrito toy. Entire war simulations are now run with a new rule. If a human appears, abort mission, immediately. And Jenkins? He was promoted, sort of. He was reassigned to special operations, which mostly involved keeping him far away from anything expensive. They gave him a shiny helmet, a small shuttle, and a permanent snack budget. He still didn't know what was going on. But that didn't matter, because he was Earth's greatest accidental weapon. And somewhere out there, a new alien species just intercepted a human radio signal. It was a sitcom, laughter, ridiculous dialogue, strange behavior. They leaned in, confused. Are these their generals? They turned to flee. But it was already too late. Earth had entered their orbit. And this time, Jenkins brought snacks. Game over. Or as humans like to say, oops,